Broadcaster Joe Duffy has signed off on Liveline on RTÉ Radio One for the final time today. But he said the show will go on after his departure from the station after 37 years. President Michael D. Higgins thanked him for his years of dedicated service.
As the countdown to Joe Duffy's final Liveline came closer this afternoon, friends and colleagues started gathering in RTÉ Studio One.
He was a voice for the voiceless. You've heard it a million and one times, but that's what he was. And they came on, they told Joe, and Joe took as far as he could. And it was great stuff. Every day people tuned into him. Until this day, they're still tuning into him because something is going to happen. And if there's not a row, Joe will start one.
Welcome to Liveline.
Then that familiar signature tune one more time.
You're all very, very welcome. The band are back together. This is my final Liveline, but remember...
There was time for one special caller as Taoiseach Micheál Martin rang the Liveline to pay tribute.
Well, you taught me a few things when I was a student activist.
Now, you forgot them quick enough now.
And the tributes kept coming, from callers that had rung him and the show, and colleagues too.
We're here today just to thank Joe for all that he's done for the breast care services in Ireland, and we're very, very grateful.
Yeah, and just on behalf of the ladies, we want to say a big thank you to Joe for all he has done.
These instincts that you just can't train, you just can't buy. He's a brilliant, brilliant player of listeners, cracking jokes, and when he comes in and says, I think we need to talk about this, he's right.
And Uachtaráin Michael D. Higgins also passed on his best wishes in a special letter.
After so many years of dedicated service, may I, Mar Uachtaráin na hÉireann, extend to you the warmest of thanks on behalf of the Irish people for your remarkable contribution to public life.
There was never a time when he called in at 9 o'clock for our daily meeting that I could tell him anything about anything in the world that he wasn't aware of.
As Joe Duffy said goodbye, it was clear from the tributes being paid to him this afternoon that this programme with him at the helm that so often found itself at the centre of national conversation had really made its mark with listeners. Evelyn O'Rourke, RTÉ News, Donnybrook.
Well, he spent time in Mountjoy for his student activism. He's chased down scammers, helped reunite families and highlighted health scandals. Joe Duffy, the great conductor of complaints, as Mick Heaney put it in the Irish Times, is here with us in studio. Joe, thanks for coming in to speak to us here today.
Sharon, yeah.
Your last Liveline today after 27 years. Your listeners feel like they're losing a friend. How are you feeling this evening?
I'm in a very, very similar situation. It hasn't hit me yet. The great thing about today was I saw people who've been on Liveline. I don't see them, obviously they're on the phone, but it was great to see people who made such a magnificent contribution to Liveline. It was the listeners who made that programme. I was in the middle. I tried to mediate as best I can to facilitate, but it was the listeners that rallied round and held hands and helped each other.
Throughout your career, you've always put people, the voiceless, or people who felt they'd nowhere else to turn, at the centre of your broadcasting. That was you who did that. Obviously, it takes the people to talk to you. What were your proudest moments doing that throughout your career?
There was lots of very, very proud moments. I was very conscious of we give priority to people to come on Liveline who would not get on any other programme. So we didn't have journalists or politicians or trade unionists. And then over the years, it's just like Sally Ann Brady writing that incredible letter about the menopause and the various symptoms. Susie Long writing that stunning, she called herself Rosie, that stunning in a copybook on her kitchen table about the two-tier health system, and she was going to die, which she did, and she knew the man beside her was going to live. But her generosity, because he had VHI, and the generosity that was coming from that gorgeous, beautiful woman who was taken way too soon. So there's many, many, many moments. I've been totally privileged. I'm sitting there on my own with a set of headphones and you're just talking to one person invariably. And I quoted the words today of the great Frank Deasy, a pal of mine who died waiting on an organ donation. If the world is in each one of us, we have the power to change that world. And a lot of that happened on Liveline. Every programme began with one voice. 37
years you spent in total in RTÉ. Did you ever consider going elsewhere? There were offers, weren't there?
There were offers, yeah. There was a significant offer about 9 years ago. Anyway, I wanted to stick with public service. I really believe that the bottom line here in RTÉ, and by the way, I admire News Talk. I think we've an incredibly rich and varied tapestry of media, and they do great job. But I just felt the bottom line always here in Liveline was public service, and I'm very, very, very proud of that. And radio, in a few months' time, in January, will be 100 years old. 100 years old, which is a fantastic institution, and we don't trumpet that enough.
You've seen a lot of changes throughout the years in RTÉ. I mean, it's been through turbulent times. It's still going through turbulent times and cost-cutting. What do you think the future for RTÉ looks like?
Our main job is to make programmes. We have to make programmes. We have to remind ourselves day after day, content, Irish programmes for Irish audiences, and just stay focused on that. I remember, I think it was Gary McGann when he was chairman of Aer Lingus, and they were going through loads of strikes and they were having mass meetings in the big hangars in Dublin Airport. And he stood up one day and said, Aer Lingus would be a fantastic company if we didn't have to fly planes. But that's our job. Our job here in RTÉ, and we're the state through the licence fee, help us enormously. Our job in RTÉ is to make Irish programmes for Irish people and make them as unique and as entertaining and as educational and as political, not party political, as possible. And I think we don't beat our chest enough. Now, we've been hammered for the last few years, but hopefully we're coming out of it.
You've been a presenter for the people. How would you feel about being a president for the people?
Will stop.
Have you been approached?
No, I haven't.
You've been asked enough times about it.
I think everyone with a pulse in Ireland's been asked, how would you stand on the shoulders of Uachtar O'Hare and Michael D. Higgins, Mary McAleese, Mary Robinson? Look at the calibre.
But are you ruling it out or not?
Those three people. I've no... today is today. I have no idea. The white earthly world, as the Healy Rays would say, I had no idea when I chose today to leave that there would be lots of presidential talk in the year. I was president of Trinity Student Union. I still have the posters. I was president of USI. I still have the posters. But my face has changed a lot, and maybe my intellect isn't as strong as it used to be. There's some great candidates already been mentioned. And by the way, there were some great candidates before who didn't make it. And that's the world we live in.
All you're telling me is that you might have to get some new posters.
Sharon, all I'm telling you is that you're going to be nominated for Investigative Journalist of the Year. Seriously, I've loads of things I want to do, loads of things. But I've such admiration for the occupants, and I've such admiration for politicians. I said it before and I said it again. Liveline led the whole thing in the head shops. It was 3 politicians, Brian Cowan, Mary Harney and Dermot Ahern, one Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock, shut down every single head shop in the country. Politicians can do that. I can't do it. The people sent the message, but the politicians acted.
Broadcaster Joe Duffy, thank you so much for speaking to us on 6 On. Wish you and your family all the best in retirement.
Thank you.